Hey, greetings, Maggie here. Welcome to What's Up with Human Design. Today is February 2nd, 2021, and happy Imbolc. This is a celebratory day in the earth-based spirituality. It is halfway between the winter solstice and the spring equinox, and we celebrate this time as a recognition that the days are getting longer. In some places they're getting warmer, and we are starting to move out of the depths of winter into the very beginning parts of spring. So happy Imbolc. Today the sun moves into the gate 13 and the earth moves into the gate 7, and we will be talking about both of those gates today. You can find the gate 13 on the top of the G center. The G center is the yellow diamond in the middle if it is defined in your chart. And in today's chart it is defined. You can see it there, and it's at the top on the right hand side. That is the gate 13. And then the gate 7 is on the other side of the G center, and it is also pointing up towards the throat. So both of them are pointing up towards the throat. So they are both heart energies, if you will. The G center is half of what we used to think of as the heart chakra, which split at the end of the 18th century, according to the story of human design. And the heart split into the G center and into the will center. And the G center is the center for lovability and for love, for identity, who we know ourselves to be, and for direction, and for our direction, like our purpose in life, as well as, you know, if we know our way around, if we can find our place from here to there. So the gate 13, which is what the sun is lighting up today, the gate 13 is one of the 3 storytelling gates. And this one is located on the G center rather than on the throat. The other 2 are located on the throat. And the 13 encourages us to tell our stories from the heart, right? It's on the I think of this as more of the heart center in the way that we think of the heart as being the center for love, the center for caring and for compassion and so on. It's also the home of the magnetic monopole, which in human design is the attractive force that brings things to us through the flow of life that we as generators and manifesting generators, we get to then respond to, and also brings us the invitations for projectors, and also helps reflectors to find their way through their tuning into the phases of the moon, and can support manifestors as well in terms of helping them to bring into their current reality that which they're focusing on, and ideally what we're also desiring. So the 13 being on the G center has those qualities of love, direction, identity, and also has this kind of magnetic force as well. So we can understand that the stories that we tell about ourselves, and because this is on the G center, it's the stories of our own identity, the stories that help us know who we are as an individual. But it also paradoxically is a collective energy because it's part of the sensing circuit, or what in quantum human design is called the miracle circuit. And that is a collective energy. Last time we also had a collective energy that we were looking at. So the collective energy is about energies that are about how all the different tribes come together into the larger collective. So there's individual energy, there's tribal energy, and there's collective energy in the human design chart. And the 13 and the 7 also that we're going to be talking about today are both collective energies. So these are both energies that are about the big picture, about being able to see multiple points of view at the same time, being able to take multiple tribes of people as well as multiple individuals into account. So that is a quality of that type of circuitry. But the 13, because it's on the identity center, right? The stories are about like for me, it's about the story about Maggie, about who I know myself to be as Maggie, and who has Maggie been, and how has Maggie evolved over the course of my lifetime, and what do I understand about myself now, about who I am now. So the 13 is about us understanding who we are as individuals, but at the same time having a bigger perspective to know for Maggie, how does Maggie's story fit into a larger story of humanity, of the collective? Not just my tribe, the people close to me, but also the larger story that is unfolding for humanity. And the 13 is the mate of the gate 33. The 33 is on the throat. Last time the 33 was being lit up by the earth, and so we talked quite a bit about the 33 last time. And it's also a storytelling gate. It has a little bit of a different energy than the 13 because it's on the throat. So being on the throat, it's going to be more about that expressive and manifesting quality than where the 13 is more about that expressing the identity. But the two of them combined create a really powerful force to be able to express that one's own identity and stories about oneself, and to really move that out into full expression and into manifestation. And in the chart that we have for today, the 33 is defined, and so you do have that full channel that's happening there. So for the next 5 days, the sun is lighting up this energy about your personal story and your personal narrative. And it's a great time for you to dig deeper under the surface of your everyday life to discern what story might be running you, with or without your conscious knowledge and intent. Now, this is something that we all do. It's not personal to you. And that it's really helpful when you become aware of that underlying story, because then you have more choice to either affirm and continue it, or the aspects of it that you want, or to be able to discard it, or to upgrade it, to bring it more up to date, for example, to evolve it in some way. And so the question I would pose for you is, what story are you living inside of regarding key life areas? For example, like around your health. We're living in the midst of a global pandemic. What story are you living inside of around your own health and around the health of the people around you? It's about your career or your business, your relationships, your relationship to money, creativity or spirituality. And question, are those stories based in fear, or are they based in possibility? And do they help you feel hopeful and on purpose, and uplifted, or do they make you feel contracted and ungrounded? And you may feel different things in different key areas of your life. Like you may feel really on purpose and uplifted in some areas and not so much in others. So some things you might want to consider, for example, is, what are you telling yourself about the pandemic and your relationship to COVID? Or are you seeing people or not seeing people? And if so, under what conditions? Are you working online? What about homeschooling your kids if you're doing that? How's your work going? How are your greater aspirations for your contributions in life? What are you thinking about when you'll get to do things that you haven't been able to do for a long time? And how does that feel for you? I mean, for me, that's dancing. Like I used to dance 2 to 3 times a week before the pandemic, and then we did some dancing outside over the summer, but really haven't been dancing much at all. And some people like to dance online. I'm not so big on that, but I have other friends who are really pining for, when are we going to get to dance together again? And it's part of the way that they're holding that can sometimes creating some pain for them. And I'm really hoping to not hold it that way for myself, but just have anticipation for when we're going to get to see each other again. And part of my story around that is that I am a person who loves to connect and to express myself through dance. And that this is a vibrant part of who I am, and that it will come alive again when the time is right. So you want to think about, what stories are you living in, and are they supporting you or not? And just remember that the 13, as part of the sensing circuit begins in the right brain and goes through the left side of the body, and it is abstract, it's creative, it's embodied, it's experiential. It's not logical, it's not rational, it isn't any of those things. And so you can understand why the storytelling gates are all in the sensing circuit, because that is the place for this kind of intuitive creativity to be. And so you might want to think about tapping into that part of you, your creativity, your intuitive mind, rather than allowing your thinking or logical mind to dominate. Because it's probably not going to help you with your story, or being able to open to new possibilities. And so when you're able to move out of that left brain, which is where most of us are conditioned to be the vast majority of the time, more over into the creative right brain, what becomes possible to you with that shift? Now, on the other side, and this is interesting because the Earth is lighting up the gate 7, which is part of the logic circuit, and it's part of the it's also a collective circuitry, but it's part of the logic circuit, or the pattern circuit. We talked about this quite a bit in the New Year's webinar, so if you want to go check that out, you could get a little deeper into it there. But so it's really on the other side. They're almost like parallel. If you look at them on the G center, you'll see that the 13 and the 7 are side by side at the top of the G center, pointing up towards the throat. And so the 7 is also part of the collective circuitry, and so it is about the bigger picture. And in quantum human design, we call it the gate of collaboration. In traditional human design, I always thought of it as the chief of staff. That's the way it was always explained to me. It was the person, like, so if there's the president, right, or the prime minister, who's the 31 is more of the figurehead, right? Then the chief of staff is the one who really knows everything that's going on. That's the 7. In quantum human design, we think of it more as this, the energy of collaboration, right? Where we're all in this together. And yes, it is the support for democratic leadership, absolutely. But it's not a top-down type of support. It's really very collaborative, and it's supportive. But this energy is also responsive. So even though it's a leadership energy, it needs to be called out. It needs to be recognized in order for it to be the most effective. Now, wherever the Earth is what grounds us. We were just talking about the 13, and that's the sun is there, and the sun is really, if you think about the sun card in the tarot, right, it's just this bright, brilliant, radiant energy, and we need to have the energy of the Earth solid and in place in order for the sun to really express itself. So here, the Earth energy is the 7. It's that collaboration, and it does have a quality of logic to it, or patterns, being able to see patterns, being able to work with patterns. It's a little bit more linear, a little bit more analytical, but it also is still fueled by love because it is on the G center, and it also is fueled by natural order, which we looked at last time, on the New Year's webinar when we were talking about the 31. So it is an energy that still has a lot of heart to it, even though it is at the end of the pattern circuit or logic circuit. And so you might want to look at, where are you with collaboration in your life? Where are you in relationship to your leadership energy? Are you supporting leadership in any particular way? Is there a way that you could engage to support leadership in a collaborative way? So those are a couple things that you can look at, and that you can also look at, what stories are you telling yourself about collaboration, or how is collaborating with others helping you to understand yourself in such a way that you can tell a new story about who you are. Because this collaborative energy and the storytelling energy are bouncing off of each other right now. And you can look at, because they're both collective energies, one question would be, how can they be more inclusive? How can I have a bigger point of view? How can I include include more different tribes in my point of view? How can I start to see more of the story of humanity and not just my own personal story? Although your personal story is important, but how does it fit into the larger story of humanity? And if you like these episodes of What's New with Human Design, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and that way you will be getting notifications whenever a new one comes out. And of course, leave a comment. I would love to know how this landed for you. Many blessings, much love. Until next time.